Hi, everyone, and welcome to Impact Wrestling's Press Pass ahead of our 19th annual Bound for Glory pay-per-view, live sold out this Saturday night in Chicago at Cicero Stadium. The only way to see it now is on pay-per-view, Fight TV, and on Impact's YouTube channel. This is a huge weekend for all of us, and as a result, this is the largest edition of Press Pass we have ever done because of our guest. On Saturday at Bound for Glory, he will be facing Speedball Mike Bailey, presented by the new movie Impuritus, The Devil Will Confess, streaming now on demand. On Sunday at Bound for Glory Fallout, he will be competing against Josh Alexander in a first-time ever singles matchup. And if Josh Alexander wins the Impact World Championship the night prior at Bound for Glory, it will be for the Impact World title. And then fast forward to October 27th as a part of Impact's UK Invasion Tour, he will have another first-time ever matchup going full circle with Eddie Edwards. Those two will go one-on-one. Once upon a time, Will Ospreay battled the Wolves in tag team action in an Impact Wrestling ring back in 2016. But with further ado, please welcome my guest at this time, the aerial assassin, the Billy Goat, Will Ospreay.
Oi, oi, what you saying, bruv? You right?
I'm wonderful, bruv. Nice to see you. Just a reminder to all the members of the press, please limit your questions to one apiece. As I mentioned, this is a very, very full session, both fans and members of the media from literally all over the world. You can raise your hands electronically for any questions that you may have, and we'll get to you as soon as we can. But Will, before we get to a member of the press, how are you feeling? This is a big weekend, big week altogether for you, but you're no stranger to that.
I'm always a no stranger to it. I've had 4 days out in Greece with the missus, had a wonderful time. I've got a wonderful spray tan on as well. We did get an all right tan, but not good enough. But I've got my spray tan on. I'm feeling loose. I'm feeling like my hips are all working. So I'm looking forward to getting in the ring with Bailey, Eamon Sandler, and Eddie.
Yeah, you got a nice, I wouldn't call it a warm-up, but you got your opportunity last weekend against Zack Sabre Jr. That was a hell of a matchup as part of New Japan's Royal Quest 3. But let's get to the media. First up is going to be Counted Out with Mike and Tyler, our friends from Canada. I know Will loves Canadians, so let's go to Counted Out with Mike and Tyler.
Hey, guys. Thanks for taking my question. Tom, you kind of alluded to what I want to talk about. Will, you have made no bones about how you feel about our great country over here. This year alone, you've got to wrestle some of the best talent that our country has to offer. Can you kind of reflect back on the importance of some of these matches that you've had this year with the likes of Chris Jericho, Kenny Omega, and also looking ahead, how you feel personally about getting in the ring with guys like Speedball Mike Bailey, and especially Josh Alexander, who, as far as I know, you haven't got to get in there with?
Oh, that's a mouthful. Listen, I think it's very important for Canadians to watch these matches to realise that England are your daddies. So just a reminder to all Canadians, I, Will Ospreay, am your daddy. But on a genuine, serious note, like it's always a pleasure to get in the ring with guys that I idolise, and I loved watching. Like Kenny rose to the tops of New Japan while I was just about coming into New Japan, and obviously Chris Jericho I've watched since I was like a teenager, and I've always had that much respect to him. I believe that he is one of the greatest of all time, the greatest to ever do it. The fact that he's had a career for that long and always able to stay relevant, always able to adapt with the best of wrestlers, just goes to show how good he is. But when it comes to myself and Mike, the thing that I was actually saying a while ago was this one's interested me more because with the Kenny match, the Jericho match, the Okada match, I've always been the guy chasing. I've always been the guy underneath. So now doing it against Speedball, I think we're both kind of like the world beaters of wrestling. We go out everywhere and everywhere, still performing at the very highest level. And now I think we're both in our prime. We're both like ready to show people what of a caliber of wrestler we both are. So that's why I'm very excited to do this match with Bailey. But I do think it's extremely important to Canadians to just realise that I am your daddy.
Up next, we're going around the world. David Dunn from New Zealand, PWI. David?
No way! I know this guy!
Do you?
Yes, way. Good morning. Hello.
Oh, beautiful.
David, long time no see, my friend. How you been?
I've been good, Will. It's great to talk to you and great to do it under these circumstances. Very exciting weekend coming up. Very exciting week for you overall. In terms of my question, I wanted to ask, as a part of this week, obviously Bound for Glory, the biggest event on the calendar, but you've got Turning Point coming up in the UK as well. How important was that to you to be able to have an event in the UK? Because I know between, All In, Royal Quest, your new tattoo, it seems like it's very important to you to be able to not just wrestle in the UK, but to do it with these international companies and really show everyone back home what it is that you do with your life around the world.
I like that one just because solely throughout all of time of wrestling, whenever we've referenced someone being the best wrestler in the world, they've either come from Japan, Canada, or America, right? We've never really stuck our flag in the ground and said that the British wrestler is the best wrestler in the world, but now it's kind of changed because of me. I almost love the fact that New Japan wrestlers come over to England, I'm the guy to challenge. AEW wrestlers come over to England, I'm the guy to challenge. And I think it's no different with Impact now. So now that Impact is coming over and returning to the UK, I'm always the centre part now, like being the kingpin of pro wrestling, yes, back then, being the centre bolt of the success behind British wrestling. I do have that as like a badge of honour. I do believe it is something extremely important for me to really sink my teeth into any promotion that I ever work under. I've got a long history with Newcastle Wrestling as well. I used to be up there with WCPW. Huge love for them. And to be returning to Newcastle after so many years of not wrestling there, and to do it against someone that I kind of have history with, I kind of don't. Even though me and Eddie Edwards have never had a one-on-one encounter, there was an incident 2016 where I teamed up with Mark Andrews against the American Wolves, and Mark got hurt. And I'll happily say it, one side of the Wolves was lovely, the other side just shrugged his shoulders and just left. So, I mean, Eddie Edwards has by far become like one of the greatest wrestlers to ever do it, a former GHC champion. But now I kind of want to test it. I want to see if he's still got that guy in him, that strong style Eddie Edwards. So I'm excited to bring that to Newcastle. Dave, I don't know if you're still there. It's lovely seeing you again, my friend. Like, honestly, truly a treat seeing you again.
Wonderful. We can connect people from all over the world with this. Let's head back stateside, at least for my sake. This is Jim from the Miami Herald. Jim, can you hear us?
Yeah, thank you all so much for taking the time today. Will, what are your thoughts of just the health of pro wrestling today? And how do you see it? And Impact Wrestling, of course, as well, because 20 plus years of Impact Wrestling, it's amazing. And I'm just wondering from your standpoint, as a professional wrestler, as a man, how you see the state of pro wrestling today, and how does it grow and get healthier now?
Here's a good one. So in terms of like the healthy state of pro wrestling, I think it's healthy in the state of the wrestlers are all working. There's a lot of places out there where you can go and wrestle, and it's like if one company doesn't fit your taste in terms of fans, there's plenty of other to choose from, whether it's WWE, AEW, New Japan, Noah, Ring of Honor. Like there's a lot of different flavors of ice cream out there right now, which we should all be extremely grateful for. Reaching out, obviously, reaching out to different markets and always doing things that are eye-catching, because the business is constantly changing now. So you do have to have some type of unique selling point and something along those lines. But like I always wanted to say, like as a fan of Impact growing up, like I got into wrestling because of AJ Styles. That match was TNA, and that's becoming Impact. For years, I always worried about Impact, about it being swallowed up, about it dying out and hanging off. But like due to the talent, due to the direction, due to the leadership, Impact didn't not only just survive those dark years, it's grown and flourished and has such an incredible roster. When you're looking at either the X division, my favorite division, the Knockouts division, the world title, the tag division, it's just stacked in there right now. And the roster is at its best that I've seen it in years and years. So to get to be a part of that is truly a blessing. I'm just looking forward to it.
Beautiful. Next up is Michael from Lucha Libre Online. Michael, are you with us?
Yes, sir. I'm here. Gentlemen, pleasure being here. Will, pleasure to meet you as well, sir. Your career has an interesting pathway in general. Like you made your debut in 2012, and in 2023, you're not a shadow of what you were before. But I want to discuss specifically the mental factor. If I'm not mistaken, back in 2019, you were diagnosed with ADHD. However, your moveset is very accurate, very incredible. You deliver 30 plus 60-minute matches all the time. And obviously, we're not expecting less. Bound for Glory and the Fallout as well. how do you manage to deal with ADHD and at the same time having such an accurate moveset and make long matches without this condition basically affecting your life?
The thing is with the ADHD, it always I always found it very interesting how I could quickly switch to flip with in terms of my match structures. I've always had a mindset where if I'm bored of something, my mind will just drift and do other things. I've always been able to maintain wrestling fans' interest within my matches because I am erratic when it comes to this. When it comes to anything else outside of wrestling, I mean, my missus does go at me all the time, bro. I leave Coke cans all around the apartment all the time because I'll be doing one thing and then all of a sudden there'll be something that catches my eye. Sometimes a killer whale on the TV screen or something along those lines, and I just go for it. I don't pay attention to anything else and just look at that. And it's one of those things where I wish I knew a lot younger, in my younger years, I should say. I wish I knew. I don't, and it's not really affected me greatly. It's made me think a little bit harder, but I'm dangerous when I think. I might hurt myself. But I just think it's just one of those things where I've accepted it from when it was diagnosed back in November of 2019, and it's kind of been a little bit of a superpower for me instead of a what's the word I'm looking for? A hindrance.
Up next is Joseph from Wrestling Headline. Joseph.
Hey, hello. Hey guys, how's it going? Joey G here. Tom, good to see you. Mr. Ospreay, nice to meet you. My question, Will, ahead of your match against Bailey, actually has nothing to do with your match. There's a ton of pro wrestling content that's currently hitting the mainstream. You got Cassandro that's on Amazon Prime about the Great Exotico. You've got an upcoming movie by A24 about the Von Erichs. Does seeing how the mainstream, and Glow was on Netflix a few years ago, does seeing how the mainstream is sort of picking up on the wrestling fandom again excite you as a wrestler? And do you hope to see more content like this in the future?
Oh,
Thank
you. Of course, no problem, mate. Joey G. Joey G. It always excites me because once again, you never know what can happen with pro wrestling. I could tell you a bunch of stories where it leads into me in a British nightclub with a Lucha Libre mask on, grappling someone in another Lucha Libre mask, trying to sell tequila to someone. So wrestling has so many avenues that you can take. So for it to be in the mainstream, it only excites me because there truly is no boundaries with pro wrestling.
Shout out to the, I think the series called Wrestler on Netflix here in the U.S. has gotten a lot of praise. So there's tons of that mainstream.
I'm watching it now.
There you
go.
Next up is another Essex guy, George from the What Do You Call It podcast. George?
How's it going? Awesome to speak to you, Will. Yes, mate. Southend on Sea for me.
Are you Southend?
Yeah, mate.
5 minutes away, my G.
Nice. These folks don't know really, just how great Essex is. But we're not here to talk about Essex, unfortunately, even though it's great. But absolute pleasure to speak to you. What I'd like to ask you, Will, is as you're a big advocate for British wrestling and the scene itself, who from the UK right now would you like to see make an appearance on the Impact Wrestling UK tour?
Oh, mate. If I could just have one, Luke Jacobs. I don't think there's, mate, no one. I really do think he is knocking down every opportunity that he's got coming for him. I think if you were to hitch a ride to him right now, you're not going to be disappointed in the journey.
Yeah, no, he's good. He's pretty good, mate. But yeah, no, just shout out to yourself, Tom. Also, awesome to speak to you. And we'll look forward to seeing you live every time you're in the ring. Seeing you live, it's one of the best experiences that you can have as a wrestling fan. So thank you.
God bless you, mate. That's strong. Love you.
Thank you, George. Next up is Jason from PWI, who will be joining us in Glasgow on the UK tour on October 26th. Jason?
Thank you, Tom. Big weekend coming up, Bound for Glory. There may be some people there seeing Will for the first time. On the flip side of that, for the UK tour, there's going to be some people from Impact who are seeing the UK for the first time. What can American audiences expect from you, and what can Impact expect from the UK audiences?
I mean, America can expect everything that I've heard. The rumor is there is a British guy that goes around conquering every single wrestler that ever steps foot in front of him. and it's true. It's me. I'm coming over, but I don't know. Like I've touched over in America so many times now. It's always been a great pleasure. It's always been super intimidating on my side, just because everything is so big. So going over to America, it tests me. It puts me in uncertain water. So I'm very much looking forward to being in that, because I do perform well under pressure. But American audience coming over to England, let me know. I hope you guys like recollections of a load of songs. We take your name and we put it into songs that we like. My favourite one was when Yota Tsuji came over for the UK. They were saying, Yota Tsuji, but he needs us. So we take songs and we have a good time. 90% of the time we're pissed. Don't take it personally, but we are pissed.
That's the best part, personally. Up next is Malcolm from Muscle Memory. Malcolm?
Hey, Will, how's it going? Hello, Tom, as well. Good luck this weekend at Bound for Glory, Fallout, and Turning Point and whatnot. There's so many like stipulations in Impact Wrestling that fans are like very synonymous known with the company. Is there like a certain TNA or Impact Wrestling stipulation that you'd love to compete in if you had the opportunity?
What do you mean by simulation, quickly?
Like a stipulation match, like Taylor Doom.
Simulation. Oh, bruv, I always wanted. I thought you said simulation. My bad. Love your at. Mate, I love the X Division, the Ultimate X match. That always was the greatest thing. I remember seeing that as a kid. I think that was the most wild match I've ever seen. So if I could ever do one of those matches, I think that would be a great laugh.
You got to do, was it King of the Mountain back in 2016?
Yeah, it was King of the Mountain. That was the most confusing match I've ever been part of. There's a ladder, but you got to pin someone. And when you pin someone, they go in a naughty box. So when they're in the naughty box for 2 minutes, you can't do anything. But while you pin someone, you are now allowed to grab that belt, climb up a ladder, hang it up there, thus making you the king of the mountain.
It's unorthodox. It's definitely that. You and Ultimate X would be sick. Up next is Jim from RCB Radio Ireland. Jim?
Hi, Will. Will, we all know that Irish and English wrestlers, they're like a band of brothers, as the saying goes, the camaraderie between them. And it's probably a great time now for the British scene in terms of Irish and English wrestlers. We've Sheamus, Finn Balor, Becky Lynch, Drew McIntyre, yourself. We've never seen it so good over here. And is there always that camaraderie every time you see each other, every time you meet each other, that you have shared similar stories in terms of your fame and your rise to making yourself global stars?
Same camaraderie between all the Irish wrestlers that have come up. I mean, yeah, there is a great deal of pride, just because I think we can attest to it. Like, we're not known for having wrestling on weekly TV. We didn't have that luxury. And if it wasn't WWE, you guys have Ring of Honor, which is America, or TNA, which is America, or CZW, which is America. You had all these incredible promotions. So when one of our guys from England made it to those big leagues, I always feel like there is like a camaraderie, a brotherhood, like a real family bond that wants to push us all. Like I say all the time, like Drew McIntyre, when he came over to England after being fired from WWE, was such a joy to work with, so like incredible. I still support him to this day. Like I hope, let's say, like he supports it over the same way, but like in the same way, in the same space. If we were in a ring together, there's no holding back. It is finding out who is the better man. So there is a support system there, but also a sense of competition as well.
Up next is Kevin from Sportskeeda. Kevin?
Pleasure to be speaking with you, Will, once again. Obviously, big match. You are the big match guy. You mentioned being a conqueror. Everywhere you go, you're a conqueror. You're coming to what many people think is one of the biggest wrestling cities in the world, in Chicago, and you take on Speedball Mike Bailey in a match that is, once again, a dream match. You've done this before. What other conquests do you have in your wrestling career that you've not reached? What other planets have you not touched upon in the wrestling universe that you have? What's on that bucket list?
I mean, like, I'm very goal orientated, but like, while I'm still currently with New Japan Pro Wrestling, just my eyesight is always to make the UK Championship as big as it physically can be, as representing my country and representing New Japan. I always want the best to come. But like, I'd be remiss to say that I want another world championship run. And I want to be known as the best in the world, and to be the best in the world, you have to have a world title run. Now, whether if that's in New Japan or anywhere else in the world, that's up to me to decide.
Thank you, Kevin from Sportskeeda. Up is another, let's see, after Kevin is Sam, from WrestleSphere. Sam?
Hi, guys. There we go. I was just unmuting my mic. Yeah, I'll also be at one of the shows. I'll be at the first Coventry one, so I'm looking forward to that.
Beautiful.
Will, I hope something special happens and you end up at that one as well. That'd be nice. Just saying, if everyone's listening, and you never know. So I've got a nice open question for you. So 4 of the biggest wrestling companies in the world have now had tours in the UK. And after Turning Point, you'll have represented 3 of them at least. Just how do you feel about that as a British wrestler and as a British wrestling fan?
I'm extremely proud to be waving the flag for the country in terms of the wrestling division over here. Once again, we never had the luxury of having weekly TV, so we would grow up always admiring these companies. Like anytime there's something different that has come over, we've always wanted to support it, to let these wrestling companies know that our wrestling fandom over here is strong as well. So like, as you said, 4 companies have toured the UK. I've been a representative of 3 of them now. That's one of the biggest compliments I can ever ask for. Like 2 companies that I don't work for, I only work for one of them, that have entrusted me not only in my professionalism but in my performance to come over and deliver these big money matches that people keep talking about. So I always hold it in the highest regards. I hold it with great pride.
Up next is Himanshu from 411 Mania.
Hey guys, this is Himanshu. Good day to both of you, and thanks for letting me be a part of this conference call once again today. Well, my question to Will Ospreay is related more to the working relationship between New Japan and Impact Wrestling. We've seen some pretty cool things coming out of it as of late. For example, Yuya Uemura, who just returned to New Japan as a member of Just Five Guys, spent a year on excursion with Impact. Julia of Stardom defended her New Japan Strong Women's title at Multiverse United 2 against 2 of the knockouts. So is there anything more that you'd like to see coming out of the working relationship between New Japan and Impact Wrestling?
I have always wanted to see kind of like a World Cup formula. I've always wanted to see, not just with Impact. I think it would be good if we had like a representative of each company and put them in like a round robin tournament. Round robin's elimination. Sorry, a block tournament. And I'd love to see like who would be the best wrestler in the world if he was able to do like a Grand Prix of some type. So under a big stage. So that would be something I'd really like to see.
It's a great idea. Up next is Kevin from Nerdly. Kevin?
So just following up on that, Will, you know fine well you're winning that. So, but yeah, really, I'm absolutely buzzing to see you in Impact again. And you've got 3 amazing banger matches coming up at Bound for Glory, Fallout and all that. But what's the chances of us seeing a bit more of Will Ospreay in Impact, and what would be the narrative you would want to go down in that if you're going to stick around for a little while?
Anything is possible right now. With everything happening, like Impact was just something I really wanted to tick off, just because I have been paying attention to the product and it has improved every single time. Their pay-per-views are can't miss. So before I make my decision where I go, and like I said, and everything I've ever said, when it comes to this, all options are open. Every avenue in pro wrestling is open. So Impact could be a place where I hang my boots. I don't know, but it is just going to be about coming over to Impact on this weekend, and it might sway my choice. Who knows? But I'm dead excited to come over, man. I can't tell you enough how much I've heard everything about Impact, and from all the wrestlers that have gone over there, everyone has said glowing reviews about it. It's been a long time coming.
Up next is Sid from Wrestle Talk. Sid?
Hey, what's going on, guys? Thank you, Impact Tom, for making me a part of the call here, and thank you, Will, finally to meet you. Even though we share best friends and sat eating the Yankee, it's okay. I'll share him with you. I'll share him with you. But yeah, I gotta ask about this huge matchup you got with Speedball Mike Bailey. This was something that I talked to Speedball before Multiverse United when it was first supposed to happen, and he called it's going to be the greatest wrestling match of all time. So, what do you think about that? And how much do you think has Speedball changed since the last time you guys versed last summer in Rev Pro, and his experience in New Japan being a part of the Best of the Super Juniors?
I mean, he set the bar bloody high, hasn't he? Like now he can't have I've got to have an easy one. Now I've got to really deliver. No, but like, if anyone's a fan of myself as Speedball, like I've said it earlier in this, but we're the last two world beaters. We're the guys that go out to all these promotions. The foot is always down on the gas pedal. It doesn't ever come off. So it's going to be real fascinating. I mean, for me now, it's 3-0 with Speedball, and I've had conversations with him where his growth and his development, we've always grown the same time at the same way. And I think we've just gone on separate journeys and separate universes. And the fact that we're always, every now and again, able to meet up and to test one another, it's always super challenging with Speedball, because he's one of the hardest guys that you want to wrestle with, because he's so dedicated into constantly improving and constantly delivering these incredible matches. It's so difficult to keep up with him. It truly is. But like, I'm glad that he is there, because it makes me want to up my game every single time.
Up next is our friend from France, Stephanie from Worldwide Wrestling.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. Hi, Will. It's a pleasure to talk to you for the first time. I wanted to ask you a question about Eddie Edwards, someone you have wrestled in 2016. You had a match against the Wolves. What do you expect from him in a singles match, and your point of view on him and everything that he has done for the company over the years, and thank you very much.
I mean, I said it a while ago, but like Eddie and myself, we had that tag match, you're right, and Mark Andrews got hurt in it. So having that and knowing the backlash of it, Eddie just didn't care. He just wanted to get on with what he wanted to do, from my point of view anyway. So now getting to revisit that and getting to go one-on-one, face-to-face with him, I'm looking forward to it. He's been a flag holder for Impact. I mean, in tough times, he's been dead center, delivering all the goods that he can. That wasn't the Eddie Edwards I grew up on, what I'm seeing. I just want to know if he can harken back to those strong style era, that GHC Eddie Edwards era, because that's my favorite Eddie Edwards ever. And I want to see if he's still got that, because if I've got that guy and I've got the Will Ospreay that I'm going to be bringing, it's going to be a showcase. It's going to be a show that you just don't want to miss.
And a reminder, it's Ospreay versus Edwards on October 27th in Newcastle as a part of Impact's UK Invasion Tour. That will air, Turning Point, on November 3rd on Impact Plus. You can get your tickets now via impactwrestling.com. Speaking of Newcastle, up next is Owen from the Newcastle Chronicle, which I'm told is the leading newspaper in the northeast of England. I'm learning a lot today.
That's right. Yeah, that is how I would describe the Chronicle. But yeah, so Will, nice to meet you. Tom as well, nice to speak to you. So the plan basically, obviously with Turning Point coming up in a week's time, and obviously you have Eddie Edwards in that match. What would you say, Will, is special about fans from Newcastle in particular and from the north? I know they kind of get a lot of praise, and I mean UK fans in general do as well. And just as well in terms of that, obviously I know last time you were in Newcastle you faced Joe Hendry. So would you possibly see another match with him down the line potentially?
Newcastle and me have had like a great relationship in terms of, like, once again, you said Joe Hendry was a guy that I wrestled there. I'd love to go against Joe again. Like, I was very happy for Joe. I remember sending him a message when I found out that he landed in Impact Wrestling. I just thought that was a perfect place for him. it's a perfect place to let him be him and to grow and develop, and to see how far he has come in Impact is really, like, I'm so happy for the guy. And if there was ever a chance to tangle again, I'd love to. I mean, to be honest, I just want the song again. I really would love the song. But Newcastle, like, I think when it comes to England, when they do like the big pay-per-view shows, like when it's always London, it always happens to be London, right? So I think when anything comes to Newcastle's way, any type of show or any type of performance, the fans are appreciative up there because they don't really get it as much as what the southern countries do. So I'm looking forward to having like a real high caliber show like Turning Point coming over to Newcastle and to go against someone like Eddie Edwards. So it's just exciting. So coming to Newcastle is always fun. I always go out drinking around there. So I'm looking forward to revisiting my old roots.
That's great. I'm looking forward to seeing you there. Thanks, Will.
Yes.
Beautiful. Keeping with the UK tour section of this press pass, close friend of Grado, I'm told. This is Chris Jack from the Daft Sheet and Wrestling Daft podcast. Hi, Chris.
Hi, Tom. Thanks for having me on the call tonight. And thank you as well. You gave me some very insightful tips on wrestling commentary a few years ago on Instagram. So thank you very much for that. But, well, obviously, you're coming back to the UK as part of this Impact Invasion tour. You're doing Turning Point. But another thing that Impact are doing is the gut check tryouts. And a lot of, your peers, I'm sure, are going to be taking part in that, as well as a lot of the trainees that have got into wrestling because of you, looking up to you as a bit of an inspiration. When you were on the up, when you were doing, tryouts and stuff like that, what were your favourite experiences of going along to tryouts? How beneficial have they been to your career, and what advice would you give to any trainees or indeed guys that you've maybe wrestled with in the past that are going along to try and make a name for themselves with Impact?
I've never had a tryout in my life, bruv. I'm not going to lie to you.
Fair enough.
I'm sorry, I can't attest to that that stress and that anxiety of that pressure. I've never been under the tryout sphere, so I can only apologise on that. But like, I do encourage people to go and do it. Of course it is. It can change your bloody life. But
yeah.
I don't know. Life was my tryout. I showed up one day and they went, "We'll give you everything." So sorry,
Magic, thank you. Well,
I can't give advice on a tryout.
Oh, that's beautiful. I do miss what was it, TNA British Boot Camp once upon a time, Will. Did you check that out?
I was gonna do that, and I've got a few mates that did do it. And I don't know what it was. Because it was the reality TV. I remember Andrews won one of them.
It was basically the entire roster that became NXT UK. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, they did. Yeah, they did do that to you guys. Oh, my bad.
That's all right.
Not even my bad.
No, not your bad. I was just curious if you saw it. Up next is Luca from Movie Player Italy. Luca?
Hi, guys. Thank you for having me. I will, and good luck for the match on Saturday against Mike Bailey. I want to know, Will, there are a lot of promotion in Italy. When are you going to see wrestling in Italy, maybe against Francesco Akira, who is a good friend of you?
I knew it. I knew you was going to say Francesco Akira. No, have you got his shirt on now? I bet you have.
Yeah.
Oh, of course you have. No, I'm not wrestling Spags. I'm not coming. No. You ruined the Euros for us. We had it. It was our year. Italy ruined it. Oh, come over. Go on. Listen, any chance to beat the ever-loving crap out of Akira, I will do it in a heartbeat. I will fly myself over. Anytime, just give me a date. Just make sure he's there. I will happily beat him up. No issue whatsoever.
So challenge is made then. Okay. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Luca. We appreciate it. Let's see.
He's
Next
part of my team, by the way. Like, I'm allowed to beat him up.
Oh, you do whatever you want. It's your world. We're just living it. So next is Lee from Perched on the Top Rope. Lee?
How you guys doing today?
Great.
Oh, look at the setup you've got.
Got the turnbuckle pad and everything. Nice.
Thank you. So I've actually looked up. You are 3-1 versus Mike Bailey, who you face October 21st, and you've faced Eddie Edwards, but not one-on-one. and you've never faced Josh Alexander. You earlier brought up how you want to be the best in the world and that you really want to be a world champion and that it doesn't really matter anywhere. Throughout your career, at the stage you're at right now, if you could go back to your professional wrestling debut, what advice would you tell yourself knowing how far you've come today?
Get off social media. I mean, it's not healthy for you at all. You don't need it. Just rely on the clips in the wrestling to get you there. But no, just not to take things too seriously. I think back then I was a very immature child. Like I keep saying it now. I think I've only matured in the last 3 years, and it took a global pandemic to do it. So, you know. My whole thing now is just like, I'm just grateful for this journey. And I think everyone, when they start, gets super worried about everything now, because everything's on the internet. You can't, when I started wrestling, like, it wasn't on the internet straight away. Like, do you know what I mean? We'd have to like download our matches from our phone, and then it would take like a week to upload to YouTube. But now it's almost instantly. Everything that you do, you could ruin any type of match that you ever had, and it's automatically downgraded. So like I do try and tell people just like to not live that hard through something. Be allowed to fail. Be allowed to fall down, because like the beauty of falling down is you get to marvel at where you was and how far you can come from there.
Love that. Up next is Joey from the Angle Podcast. And just a reminder to all the members of the press on here, we've got about 20 minutes left with Will. We really want to get to as many of you as we possibly can. So again, just raise your hand electronically and we'll try and get to you. But next is Joey, Angle Podcast.
Good to see you, Tom. Nice to meet you, Will. Both hope you both are well. Will, you've been on this Aerial Assassin World Tour, and it seems to really only gaining momentum. You competed in some of wrestling's biggest shows, defeating some of the greatest names there is. And now you're coming to Impact, one of Impact's biggest events of the year, Bound for Glory. What's the internal feeling knowing that you're really being elevated above everyone else? And how has 2023 changed your life?
It's changed dramatically now. Like, and seeing all of these avenues of pro wrestling start opening up with the names of people that you beat. Starting back from the Tokyo Dome match with Kenny Omega for New Japan's biggest show, Wrestle Kingdom, to then going against Chris Jericho, maturing so much from all those losses and to culminate into beating one of the greatest to ever do it, performing in All In at Wembley Stadium, and now coming over to Impact for their biggest event. It's a feather in my cap, and it's one of those things where like I'm only brought in at the highest level, so that always makes me feel happy and like proud when it comes to wherever I go and perform. It's a world tour, but it's so gratifying knowing that my name carries that value of whatever I do is big match scenario.
Awesome.
Thank you, Joey. Appreciate it. Up next is Scott from PW Mania. Scott?
What's up? Can you guys see me?
We can hear you. Now we see you. There you are.
Awesome. How are you guys doing? I appreciate the opportunity, and I hope all is well with you both.
Doing good.
I'm alive, mate.
So, Will, you have a couple of matches coming up with Josh Alexander, Speedball, and now Eddie Edwards as well. And you spoke about it a little earlier on in the interview about how, you know, you want to win gold at it somewhere. What are your thoughts about potentially winning gold in Impact and working with Alex Shelley one day?
I mean, I've been a huge admirer of Alex Shelley for God knows how long. I remember I used to be in a tag team with Kip Sabian from AEW when we were like backyarding, and we would model ourselves like the Motor City Machine Guns. We are completely like inspired by what Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin has done. And to see now Alex Shelley getting his flowers and being a world champion and front and center where he should have been for such a long time, it's incredible. So the fact that I've never crossed paths with Shelley is something that's truly mind-blowing. So if that opportunity was about to do Shelley versus Ospreay, I would love nothing more than to test myself against somebody that I hold to a very, very high standard.
Definitely. And I appreciate your time. Thank you again.
Thank you, Scott. And just a reminder to everybody, this Sunday, Bound for Glory Fallout on the 22nd in Chicago. It's Will versus Josh Alexander. If Alexander wins the Impact World Championship the night before Bound for Glory from Alex Shelley, then Ospreay versus Alexander, a first-time ever matchup, will be for the Impact World title. Shifting gears now back to the UK Invasion Tour. This is Adam from the British Impact Report. Adam?
Thank you, Tom. And you've just teed me up for my question for Will. Will, what would it mean to you to win the World Impact Championship coming up just after Bound for Glory? And if you did win, would you have the time you're scheduled to be a fighting champion?
My schedule is looking extremely good right now. I'm quite frankly, I've got to do one more huge match over in Osaka after this for Power Struggle. But you know what I mean? I always find ways of keeping myself busy. I always like to find time to test myself against the best in the world. And if there was a responsibility to carry Impact's World Championship, I'd always find time in my schedule to make that happen.
Up next is Billy from the Scottish Wrestling Network. Hi, Billy. Billy,
I'm on mute. Hello.
There you are. There you are.
There's always going to be one on this, isn't there, that forgets to take them off mute. Hi, guys. Hi, Tom again, and hi, Will, for the first time. So you're scheduled to face Eddie Edwards on the UK tour, as it's been mentioned many times on this press pass at Turning Point. There's other dates in Glasgow and Coventry. Any chance we may see an Aerial Assassin's appearance on those dates? And you've mentioned wanting a World X Cup, so I want to throw in, or a World Cup of Wrestling. If you were to form a Team UK for the World X Cup, who would be your teammates?
Am I allowed to use anyone?
I suppose, yeah. Anyone at your disposal.
Anyone in the UK. Me, Zack Sabre Jr., Luke Jacobs. How many people are in this team?
It was 4.
4. Me, Zack Sabre Jr., Luke Jacobs, and Drew McIntyre. Boom. Oh, yeah, Drew McIntyre, yeah. I'll stick with Drew. I've already said his name.
What team?
And possible. The only date that I can't do is October the 29th. I'm not doing that. It's my son's birthday. I will never, ever wrestle on that date ever again. You can book WrestleMania, Wrestle Kingdom, Wrestle Grand Slam, Wrestle any bollocks. I am not performing on my son's birthday. That's me one thing, but I can do Glasgow.
Oh, that's going to make a lot of people happy, especially with ourselves up in Scotland. But perfect. Well, thank you very much for taking the time. That sounds like an amazing team.
You've got to fork out more money for Billy O.
Okay, thank you.
Let's see. Next is Jerry from the Irish Wrestling Podcast.
Hey, Will, Tom, how are you? Thanks for your time today.
Good.
I just wanted to touch on the Josh Alexander match. You've never faced him before. How do you go into a match like that with someone you've never prepared for, like somebody who's like yourself, been in the top 10 wrestlers in the world for the last few years?
I mean, I do a lot of homework right now, especially because that's something that's going to come out soon. I've never actually watched a Josh Alexander match. I just know he's good. Everyone shows me clips of what he does. Everyone preaches how good he is. I've just never really truly checked him out. There's one thing I did check out. So actually, no, there is one match that I check out, and it gives me a lot of giggles and fun, and it's where Moose spears him in front of his missus and kids. That's one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my entire life. How dare man disrespect you like that? So that's the one match that I've seen. So congratulations, Josh. I know you're good. I would just like to know if you're better than me. Don't think you are. I'm willing to take the challenge. No Canadian is better than Billy Boy.
Ospreay Alexander this Sunday, Bound for Glory Fallout in Chicago on the 22nd. Let's head back.
Canadian Banking Day, October 22nd.
Let's head back to France. This is Lucas from VL Media.
Thank you so much, Tom. Pleasure to see you back. Will, pleasure meeting you. Will, once again this year, you've illustrated yourself as one of the greatest wrestlers in the world, and in my book, the best. I'm a huge fan of yours. You've been a professional wrestler for more than a decade. You went from being Jason Artem when you debuted to fast forward years later being an uptown funker with the late great Ryan Smile to one of the best junior heavyweight in the history of New Japan Pro Wrestling, cementing your legacy as the aerial assassin, and to now being the leader of the United Empire. Sorry for my French accent.
Mate, you're doing great. You are doing phenomenal. Keep talking about how good I am.
I got a question for you, Will. From your perspective, and at this stage of your life and career, what is the next step that fans can expect from Will Ospreay in the month and years to come?
That I'm not even hitting my prime properly. I've just entered my prime. So although all of that back catalogue that you've said is incredible and it is a once in a lifetime wrestler, I'm not even getting started yet, bruv. That's what you've got to expect.
And Lucas put you over like $1 million.
You know what I mean? And he done it with that beautiful French accent.
Oh, gosh. Let's go to Maurice now from Cheap Heat Productions. Maurice?
Oh, no. Cheap Heat.
All right, how are we doing? Thanks for having us back. Good to meet you, Will.
Hello,
you've been enjoying the life of pretty much a wrestling nomad, where you've been going from company to company for years now, including some cracking matches over here in Ireland. I think you had one against Walter about 4 or 5 years ago. That was almost a 5-star, if I recall. I suppose my question is, are you reaching a point of your career where you're finding your wrestling forever home? And should your match this weekend be the Conqueror, putting the entire Impact locker room on notice?
Thank you so much for reminding me of that Walter match. It's one of my favourite matches that I've ever done. That Irish crowd can do incredible things. They can will a dead body to come to life again, time and time again. So, like, thanks for all the injuries. I'm joking. Do one more time on the end bit. One last time on the end bit, because it was so. When you said it,
it was a case of, is your match this weekend you putting the Impact locker room on notice that you're coming to conquer Impact?
I mean, I want it to be like that team atmosphere. I'm coming into your home. I want that home, that away pitch vibe. I want to be shouted, hollered, abused at. I want you guys to support your guys, because when that anger and that aggression comes towards me, it ups my game. It makes me adapt to my surroundings. So, like, that's why I always do. Like, I represent New Japan. I want you guys to represent Impact. I'm an outsider. I'm coming in. So I'm looking forward to conquering. So I'm hoping somebody stops me. That's what ups my game.
Lovely. Thanks for your time.
Thank you,
Appreciate you, Maurice. Thank you. We've got about 10 more minutes here with Will. Thank you all so much for tuning in. This has been our largest press pass to date. And once again, virtually raise your hand so that we can get to your questions. Up next is Gerard from bodyslam.net. Gerard?
Gerard?
Gerard, you with us?
Oh.
What
is it about Body Slam that you loved about that move so much that you named a whole podcast after it?
It's basic. I'm kidding. It's
just like his audio. It's basic. Get him out of here. You had your chance, Body Slam.
Gerard, we'll come back to you. You're not basic, I promise. Next is Thomas, big fan of from SE Scoops. Thomas?
Hi there, Tom. Hi there, Will. First of all, pleased to see a fellow Brit representing the country, taking it to the Canadians. We've heard you talk about your run with Impact years ago. You worked with the likes of Eric Young, Mark Andrews, Eddie Edwards, who you'll be facing at Turning Point on October 27th, just to name some. Impact's always had this incredible roster from the day it started to bringing in major names. It's a what-if situation. If you could face anybody in the history of Impact Wrestling, any era of the company, who are you stepping in the ring with?
All right, the obvious one would be AJ, but I'm gonna go opposite. I'm gonna say Pete Williams.
Oh, why him?
I wrestled him ages ago in Germany once when I was like 18, 19. But like, I just didn't know who I was back then. I know who I am now. To have like that era of Petey Williams against this era of Will Ospreay would make my heart fall, bruv.
It'd be a great match. It'd be an absolute great match. Thanks, guys.
Appreciate you,
Canadian I could back up.
I honestly, the Canadian Destroyer versus the Essex Destroyer, I'd want to see that too. Let's see about Gerard. Gerard, are you good? Do we have you?
I think I'm on now, guys. How are you?
Beautiful.
Hey, he's alive.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Go ahead, Gerard.
Well, I just got a question for Will. Seeing you on here all the time, you're one of the best in the world. When you get to a point where you can't wrestle the same style anymore, are you gonna consider retirement or toning down the style, or?
I don't know. I thought about getting into male stripping after I'm done with wrestling, but I just think that's just not on the table anymore. Like, wrestling's done so much damage to my hips. So I definitely got to think of other avenues. I was thinking maybe a postman. Postman's quite a nice job. But no, in terms of like, every time that I've feel like I can't do the style that everyone I guess is talking about, that kind of like Ricochet, Will Ospreay, Best Super Juniors 2016 style, I can't do that stuff anymore. I'm fat now, so I just have to throw like meaty elbows instead, and it seems to be doing way better than when I was doing all the flippy doos. So so the takeaway to this question is male stripping, postman. I can't do flips that good anymore, but I can punch people in the face.
Dirty Dango can help you out with that male stripping thing. He's good at that.
Oh, mate, I might, yeah, I could definitely take some lessons. But it's male stripping, but he's more of a tango dancer. It's a ballroom dancer. That's not real. I mean, it's very seductive. It is a very seductive dance. I've done it for years. I used to do the tango back when I was a dancer.
Up next is Brent from Cole TV. Brent?
Hi guys. Thanks for having me. Pleasure to meet you both. But Will, got to ask you, what a 2023 you have had. When you look at some of the matches that you have had, and even getting ready to wrestle one of your heroes, Marufuji, in your opinion, is this the best year of your career?
Yeah, by a country mile, this is the best year. In terms of, I think this is the most I've ever known about myself, where I'm confident in my abilities, and I know who I am inside and outside of the ring. So for me, yeah, this is the most excited I've ever been. This is the best year of my career so far. But I said this, like I say it every year, but I'm looking forward to seeing what else I can do after this year, because right now anything is open. My future is so uncertain. I don't know which direction I'm going to go in. So with that, I can swim in these uncharted waters. Sharks always swim. They're all you're good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brent. Appreciate you. Up next is Jim from Real Talker. Jim.
What's going on, fellas? Will, pleasure to talk to you. Hey, by the way, love the choice of pants, the zebra pants.
Mate, these are so comfy. My missus is wearing my ones. I'm a bit angry. She's got the green ones on. Sitting there watching Friends, where like wearing my zoobs.
Perfect. Impact's known always to pull out shockers and surprises over the years, and you kind of being free to roam around. And there's another guy called CM Punk that seems to be free. What do you think if you two guys came together at Impact? What would that do for the company, and what sort of stratosphere would that angle put the company through, if that's a possibility?
I mean, the guy carries weight. Do you know what I mean? So anywhere that he's ever wrestled, it's going to be a draw no matter what, because of how widely recognized he is. So if that was to happen at Impact, it'd be mad. It would be huge. It would draw so much attention towards Impact. And if they wanted to run with Will Ospreay versus CM Punk, then like by all means, I'm always game to wrestle anybody. And anyone that wants to call himself the best in the world, like, you're more than welcome to call yourself that. I actually say it, and everyone goes, yeah, he's telling the truth.
Book it.
Thank you, Jim.
Thanks, guys.
We are coming up at about 3 p.m. Eastern here, so this is going to be our final question. I want to take this opportunity to thank everybody, Will, you especially, but all the members of the press, fans that have tuned in for this around the world. We really appreciate it. This last question comes from Rocco Cross, the host of the Gru Room Show. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Yeah, that sounds great. You said it good.
Good.
Okay. Thank you, man. Will, I have a question for you. Is that I saw on one of your recent Mask and Gear of one of the all-time great wrestlers, Hayabusa, and I wanted to know like what he actually meant to you as a wrestler and your like move set.
I mean, so Hayabusa was one of those guys, like, he fits in that Liger category where the first time you see him, you are blown away, you're mesmerized, not only by the look, but by the moveset itself. It was explosive, it was different, it was wild, it was something that I've never seen from WWE or WCW. It was expression, it was exciting, and it was another portal into my already love and passion for Japanese wrestling. He added so much, but by the time I found out about Japanese wrestling and by the time I found out about Hayabusa, I already know what happened to him, and it was the tragedy that surrounded him. But we always talk about the tragedy of Hayabusa, and I love professing my love for his wrestling, his moveset, the fact that he's like inspired so many Japanese wrestlers that have flown out all over the world, that use his moveset, that carry on his name and legacy. I just wanted to show everybody that an Essex kid was motivated, was inspired, and wanted to carve out his own legacy because of someone wearing such a beautiful outfit and performing a wrestling style that only the best in the world can do. And I wanted to show that love from the Japanese wrestling and how it has come over to me.
Beautiful. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much for joining us for Impact Press Pass. Once again, a reminder on October 27th at Turning Point, a part of Impact's UK Invasion Tour, it's Ospreay versus Edwards. That will air on Impact Plus on November 3rd. Then this Sunday, Bound for Glory Fallout, the 22nd. It'll be Ospreay versus Alexander. It could be an Impact World title match depending on what happens at Bound for Glory. Limited tickets are still available for Newcastle and Bound for Glory Fallout. And as we all know, Bound for Glory itself is sold out. So the only way to see it is live on pay-per-view, Fight, and Impact's YouTube channel. Will, thank you so much for joining us, and safe travels. You got a lot of travel ahead of you getting to Chicago.
It's all right, man. You're welcome for the house, people. Impact, you guys can all line up, shake my hand individually, give us a kiss if you use any of my moves, and say thank you so much. Billy Goat, you are a role model. You are beautiful, and we are ever grateful to be in your presence. I love that from all of you guys, if that's all right.
We'll see what we can do about that. He's Will Ospreay. I'm Tom Hannafin. Don't forget to tune in for Impact on Access TV tonight here in the States at 8 p.m. Eastern. Thanks, everybody.
Cheers, Wallies.